So I'm guessing Shawn wants to transition to Demetrius Andrade.
Damn.
Yeah. Well,
I know we got one more on Fox, but damn.
Oh, yeah. I didn't have.
Damn.
I didn't have much on the other Fox fight.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Then let's move forward.
Young guy got beat, but
damn.
What are you talking about?
How you know I was talking about him?
The young guy?
No, he's talking about Boo Boo. He's not talking about.
How you know?
Because he was sloppy yesterday.
Oh. Dang, you gonna do him like that? Oh.
But he was sloppy yesterday to an extent that he's usually the opposite. He's usually, if anything, too cautious and too calculated and maybe too technical. And yesterday it was, and if you look at the first two rounds, he wobbles him in the first round, he drops him in the second round. And when he dropped him, it was literally the most basic possible thing. It was off a break, 1-2, and he was down.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, from there it was not the Demetrius Andrade we're used to seeing.
My man got problems. It upsets me. I don't know what
he can't have no fights like that because in the position he's in,
you can't have a fight like that.
And then they're gonna say you don't even deserve Charlos.
See, now here's the thing: every fight. So you got to do one. If people are avoiding you, you give them a reason to avoid you. You don't. You don't underperform. You don't not do what you can do. Not do everything you're supposed to do. That fight wasn't supposed to go 12 rounds. And so my thing is exactly what you said. My thing is we need Boo Boo to be in the best fights that he can be in, the best fights in the world. I said this on Twitter. I feel like he's deserving of those fights, but then last night doesn't make me feel like you deserve the big fights. And I know, and I know that this is going to reach people, and I know that the show wouldn't be what it is if I didn't say this. And so I'm going to go on record for saying there's no other fighter in the world that I'm more biased about than Boo Boo Andrade. Not even myself. I'll tell you that I'll say everything about him. I'll never say anything about myself. But when I do that, I need you now to back it up. Don't back it up because Shawn said all this stuff. Back it up because this is what Shawn believes about you, and you did not show me what I believe has always been there, which leads me to believe you haven't been in any big fights. So your training is not at the level that it should be in. You feel like you can't get these big fights. So you're taking whatever they're giving you and you're going in the ring with whoever you are. And now the thing is, if we give you a big fight, are you gonna underperform because you've been underperforming? It's unconscious, you don't even know. Are you gonna undertrain because you've been undertraining? It's unconscious, you don't even know. So I think now he's a more dangerous fighter to himself than he is to anybody else.
Yeah, my thing is, if you're going to have a performance like Boo Boo did yesterday, or kind of in general, he's not an explosive offensive fighter. Mm-hmm. No one would argue that he is. A lot of people think he's boring. A lot of people think his fights are ugly.
Guess what? I'm the only one that will argue that he is.
Yeah.
Or one of the few.
I think he has moments of being explosive. I think last night last night.
Yeah. Well, I think he's gifted enough to be, but I just think in general. So if you're not known as a great offensive fighter, you don't have huge one-punch knockout power. Mm-hmm. If you don't have that, you damn sure better be as good as you are normally defensively and just tactically. Mm-hmm. But you can't have a lack of explosive offense and then also be sloppy on defense because then what are you really doing? And let me counter your point, Shawn, about what you said about the big fights. I think it actually might help him get one of the big fights. And I think he actually might be ready for a big fight because, and Eddie Hearn said it, you saw him get hit. He got hurt. Why would you not fight him? Charlo, Triple G, and the Charlo thing has been going back and forth for so long. There was a back and forth with Charles Barkley and Draymond Green a few years ago where Charles Barkley was like, I wish I could punch him in the face. And they brought it to Draymond Green and he said, well, next time you see me, punch me in the face. Just do it.
Yeah.
So for if I'm Boo Boo, I'm like, hey, you think I'm not that good? You saw me not fight that well? Come beat me up. If it's that easy, do it.
Thank you for pulling me off the ledge because I was about to jump.
And Shawn, devil's advocate, the Ugas fight, you look like shit, and people thought you was gonna get. You know, you my guy.
I can't mute you no more.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
The mute gets like a week suspension, but
that was wild. Hey, everybody, that was Shawn. They had nothing to do with me.
He'll never get muted ever again. That went on record. I told you that.
Spence fight.
Anyways, you know, going into the Spence fight, you know, people before that, if you would have fought Ugas, or you would have just went Shawn Porter and just you switched it up a little bit, obviously.
Yeah.
They would have been like, and you dominated Ugas. And the fight would have been, oh, yeah, he got a shot. It went from people like, oh, yeah, that could be a good fight to Shawn got a shot because of your performance.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go, we knew, Shawn, all of the circle, we knew what you was bringing. But people really thought you was about to get dominated. Mm-hmm. It probably made it easier for Earl to take the fight, even though he won the belt, but that made it a little bit easier.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that makes sense. Performance.
Right.
Don't take that away from what that man has done his whole career.
That's why those guys still think twice about taking the fight with him.
But like, why would you just do it? Like, you can't. The Charlos, they're great fighters. They're both great pound for pound fighters. But if you're gonna talk like that, like they've both honestly kind of talked about Boo for years, then fight him. Then take. And Eddie Hearn said yesterday, we offered them a lot to come on DAZN. If they don't want to do that, Demetrius Andrade will fight on Fox, no issue, and it won't. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
This generation just like dares to be great. Shawn, you dare to be great.
Yeah.
Do you just dare to be great?
Yeah.
Like, I get it's some money, but do you just dare to be great?
Yeah.
I want the best.
Yeah.
Some people just want to make money.
Because again, we're talking about those fine lines, and there's a fine line between being great and losing everything that you have, and being great and people respecting it and you moving forward, even in a win or loss. You know what I mean? And so, you know, just kind of, I'll use myself as an example. It's not many fighters out there that can lose. I've lost now 3 fights, and I'm still regarded as at an elite level. And it's kind of rare. I mean, we've seen it, you know, Marquez and, you know, and Pacquiao, and, you know, there's a host of other guys out there, but did he what? Hold on, what? Is he froze?
He froze.
That's what you get.
Classic. This is classic. No, you don't hear what he said though. He went out like a champ. He'll be back in a second.
Well, I mean, you know, so I think the facade of being
he back, baby.
Beat it.
Froze.
And the facade of being undefeated, and the facade of kind of, you know, I'm risking everything. When that comes into play, a lot of guys are like, no, I'm not gonna do it. You know, and with that being said, this is the crazy thing, because I didn't take very many notes. I had the parties going on yesterday, the celebration, excuse me. So I didn't really, you know, note things like I normally do, but I did note this as it pertains to Boo Andrade. And I thought he looked bad last night. I thought he won, but I thought that he wasn't clicking the way that I know him to click. You know what I mean? When he gets in the ring, when he gets in the ring, there's an attachment to him, almost like my brother getting in the ring, and it's that real. You know what I mean? So I didn't see what I wanted to see, and I think that a lot of disappointment. And even with all that, if he were to fight the way he fought the other night, he'd still be a problem for everybody in the 160 and 168 the pound division.
He also won by a lot.
He
looked bad, but like he won was 10-2.
Hey, we hold him up here.
It's kind of reminds me of like with Caleb Plant against Caleb Trex, where we were like, I'd like to see more, and we're like, he won every single round. Boo Boo didn't look great, but like he still won by a large margin.
And so here, go ahead, Shawn.
He did look like you got to favor Jamal Charlo if they fight, and he comes in the ring like that. You know, he got hurt bad by 2 right hands.
Yeah.
What was it, the 3rd and the 9th round?
Yeah.
And Charlo has a bomb over right hand. But what Carson and you were saying is so true about Charlo. Like it's been beyond time to step up for Jamal Charlo. You know, like he would, you know, I understand his camp would talk about how there was a Triple G fight they tried to make earlier this year. But apparently you know, there was some opportunities to get the Canelo fight, you know, his brother's saying, you know, that, you know, they get mad at each other sometimes, but he's saying he turned that opportunity down. When it comes to a Benavidez fight, he's talking about, you know, catch weights and that kind of stuff. The Daniel Jacobs fight, Danny Jacobs and him have that face-to-face, you know, face-off. For whatever reason, that doesn't happen. There's quotes of him talking about Andrade. Well, he's not going to get any money. And, you know, I'm not going to give him the fight because, you know, forget him getting the big purse. And it's just like, you know, you're fighting Juan Macias Montiel, and I know he's got 22 knockouts and 22 wins, but it's been beyond time to make a fight with Andrade or a guy of his caliber. So,
especially if you're on the elite level and it's champion versus champion, clearly that's what we want. But even if it goes beyond that, if you're talking trash directly about somebody, like Shawn, you haven't really you had like some, you know, verbal jabs, whatever, but not like anything significant. But that would be something like if I'm calling you out forever. And then, like, just do it. Just fight him then.
You're not gonna have a rapper talking about another rapper without them eventually.
And then they don't like ever have diss tracks or anything.
Carson, how many years has been going on?
Forever.
It's been
forever.
Crazy.
Like, and so
5 years, maybe.
I get it. I think it's a great fight. The Demetrius Andrade we saw yesterday loses the Charlo.
Yeah.
That specific one loses the Charlo. Demetrius Andrade typically, I think, beats Charlo.
And this is what I'm going to say to that, because I looked at my dad and I said, this boo-boo right here struggles with the Charlos. I don't know if he beats the Charlo brother, but he struggles. I said, this boo-boo gets beat by Canelo. I say this boo-boo gets hurt by Canelo. I said, this boo-boo right here, I'm pretty sure struggles with Benavidez and or Caleb Plant. I think Caleb Plant, I think that one he could manage better than he could against Benavidez. But this is not the boo-boo. And I said, and this boo-boo might even lose to Triple G. I said, but even with me saying that, he still is a problem for all of those guys because he has this element to his game. You'll never catch your rhythm. You'll never be able to catch your timing with him because he's a little bit like Andre Ward in the sense that he knows where to play the game on the outside and then when to play the game on the inside. And that's a hard rhythm to really pick up. And guys that can play the rhythm like that, they'll lose a fight, but they'll lose on both feet. You would have never hit them hard. It would have been a boring fight that everybody was on their feet for the entire fight. And you like, damn, like I can't believe, you know, this was. But that's who Boo Boo is. You know, he's slippery. He's one of the most slippery fighters in the world. I think that he's got to bring more offensively moving forward. And I think that even the defense that he lacked last night, I think that he brings that moving forward. And he'll be all right.
Like that lead uppercut yesterday where you're talking about where it's just awkward. That's not something you see that typically.
Yeah.
He was firing that and landing it. And so that's something where it's just not expected. So, yeah, at his best, like if we see a great Demetrius Andrade, there are not a lot of fighters, I think, in his weight class that can beat him.
Yeah.
That guy yesterday, I don't know, he was really boo-boo yesterday.
Yeah.
And not his nickname.
So and I think that's why I'm so upset. Like I'm figuring it out. I'm upset because I don't know what boo-boo I got now.
Yeah.
And the boo-boo that I know is one of the greatest fighters in the world. And that's not the boo-boo that I got last night.
Yeah.
He's not active enough. He's not active against great fighters. I don't train with him, so I don't know what his training regimen is like. Like I'm almost like, forget coming on my podcast. Come train with me for a minute just so we can make sure you good. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
And Eddie Hearn also said he can't be at 160 forever. Like
he's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big dude, and it might end up at 68. But yeah, it was frustrating, but got the win.
If he could fight the way he does early in fights for all 12, you know, he might be, you know, the best middleweight on the planet. You know, because when he won his title in Boston, he dropped the guy from Africa, Walter Kotondakwa, 4 times. He drops Williams early last night. So I just think Shawn really he got at the best points about it when we first talked about him, which was, you know, level of competition stays down here. And you just keep fighting guys like that. Through a lot of it's not a fault of his own, and maybe his performances are starting to dip a little bit because he's not having the challenges in the guys in front of him he needs. So hopefully he gets that, finally.
Even crazier is from a business perspective, and I don't know if I'm telling on anybody, but from a business perspective, I gotta wonder if these other promoters and people making fights, matchmakers, if they're watching, just like, no, we're gonna dry him out. It ain't even about his age. We just want him to get stone cold.
Well, he's apparently making good money. He was one of those fighters that took DAZN up on their offers when they first launched. So good for him in that regard. I think that's partly too why he's not. He wants the big fights, but you don't see him exactly dying for it. So.
Yeah. And it's always better. We've mentioned it before, but to go off his performance yesterday, it's always better to have a frustrating win than a frustrating loss.
Yeah.
Like if you don't fight well, you'd much rather get a win where people are like, yeah, it wasn't that good, than have that same performance and you lose. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't end up really being the worst thing.
Don't tell me you didn't enjoy what you saw, because I know you did. What you need to do now, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, hit that notification button. Check us out every week, every Tuesday, something new for you right here on the Porter Way Podcast.